The 4th of August 2025, Realtor Education, not fake news, electricity crisis, etc. Now, it's a public holiday in Ireland, and I am, well, as to say, ostensibly retired to farming, but it's important to take another day off, and in fact, bank holidays and public holidays, we should all wind down a bit on those days, and I definitely do. I just checked the cattle this morning, and I spent my time reading a particular book I was interested in, a very old book, and looking at old ways of doing things and mining, how they mined in Britain and Ireland and how they got the materials and the amazing things they did thousands of years ago, actually. Just amazing. But yes, there's no harm to chill out a little bit. We should remember too that many in the public service cannot. The nursing profession, the medical profession, although they get a little extra money for it, and the police, the Gardaí, and the PSNI, they all have to work on the public holidays. And people who do the artificial insemination people from the various people in Ireland, they have to go and work too. So not everybody gets off. Now they'll say, oh, you get extra money. Well, would you believe it, that although I served 32 years in the Garda Síochána, and I'm not complaining, but everyone around me seems to be just getting on as well as me. And more power to them. They reared their families, they educated their families. I don't see any difference much in those who stayed around their locality and grew and prospered and got involved in businesses, and those who went off. When I joined the Guards, I had to go wherever I was sent, and move house several times. So whether or not there's any advantage in it or not, I don't know. I think in recent years the Guards tend to let their members be stationed nearer where they are from. And if you're from a real hole of a place, you might be better getting out of it, and you might want to get out of it. But generally around where you're from, you know everybody, and it's handy to be where you're from. And you get people like from maybe Meath moving over to some part of the west of Ireland, and they're moving out of a highly economic area to a less economic area. If that's what they want, that's all right. But anyway, I'm just making the point that there are people who have to work, and it's a thankless job. The nurses and that are never thanked. Everyone, oh, so she's paid from us. But they have to go and work on the public holiday. Anyway, I'm moving to a different, another subject here. What's actually taking place. As you know, and as I've told you before, Ireland is on fire economically at the moment. They're printing money, but the people are excellent workers, and there's a demand for their skill, and there's a shortage of skills, which is the blame of the education system. Now, I just had to deal with a little interruption there, no big problem. You'll have that on a farm and about, but anyway, what I want to tell you is this heading here and the few headings about energy. Intel, which is a major employer in Ireland, it has warned the Taoiseach and other ministers about the implications of high electricity costs. And in the medium, this is an Irish Times article, they always use the word energy for electricity. They try to disguise it with other forms of energy and other sources, whereas it's electricity is the problem. There's no real problem with bottled gas for chip shops and restaurants, and there's no real problem with diesel and petrol. It's electricity. Now, tech giant Intel has warned a series of government figures about high energy costs and planning issues threatening Ireland's competitiveness. Now, we'll see how accurately they have it. They're businesses. Semiconductor chip manufacturer Intel is a big employer in Ireland with almost 5,000 staff here, and its lobbying on these issues is shown in government records released under the Freedom of Information Act. So the government is telling us lies. They're telling us we're all for this renewable, and we'll see now what the article says. Maintaining Ireland's attractiveness to multinational companies is a priority for coalition government. That's a lie. It's not a priority. The coalition government in Ireland, with its independent partners, politicians, is determined to wreck the Irish economy. And because the country's going fairly well at the moment due to a variety of things, whenever there comes a downturn, they're going to destroy the country. And that's the aim of Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael and Sinn Féin. Don't be in any doubt about that. So, but they say here that that's its importance. Amid economic uncertainty over the last week trade deal, with a 15% tariff imposed on EU goods entering the EU. Blame Trump, of course. Oh, blame Trump. Oh, blame Trump. The records include a note of the May the 1st meeting, I'd say that's 2025, between Intel representatives and Ministers for Enterprise Peter Burke. I wonder what he do. He probably has some kind of a diploma in like that mad cabbage head Ryan in commerce or something. It's not anything technical. Could be something social engineering or something. Anyway, I know nothing about him and I don't want to know anything about him. The document says Intel referenced a recent call between Chief Executive Lip Tan, LIP BU Tan, and Taoiseach Michael Martin, where the energy cost issue was discussed and noted the need for Ireland to take demonstrative actions on the issue. The Taoiseach will take no action. He'll build the windmills and the solar till he can't build any more, and then he'll hump off and get a job for himself like Ryan. I heard they made him a housing minister in the EU. It's all collapsing around them. The government side said forthcoming plans on competitiveness and large energy users would chart a pathway forward on the critical issue. Now, I haven't read this before. I'll bet you the answer is more windmills and more solar. This is the idiots we have. There was a woman one time, I knew her down the country when I was in the Gardaí, and she had one son. Well, she had an earlier son, but she had a son to another man somewhere. Anyway, her husband was dead. She was a widow. And the son got sick. He was supposed to have gastroenteritis from eating a big load of plums, wild green gauge plums. And someone told her to give him a spoon of brandy and soda, I think it was, every hour. And that's what she gave him, until he was just about to die. And then she took him to the hospital and it was too late. He was 4 days dying and she wouldn't get a doctor because someone told her brandy and soda. That's a fact. That's the ignorance. So here we have the big industries in Ireland warning the government. And the answer to the government is likely to be more of the same. I haven't read it, just let me get on to it now. Intel also raised issue with Ireland's planning permission regime and how unpredictability was a major business planning obstacle. Well, that's because government never carried out the strategic environmental assessment that's required under the European law, which is easy to do if you do it in time, but you can't put the cart before the horse. You should design your house before you build it, not after you build it. And that's in the public service, and I work sometimes in the public service. They build a wall and then they dig out the door. They never think of building the door or the window into the wall. And that's typical public service. So, blaming the planning. Now, there was an issue with Intel. They tried to take land of a man under compulsory purchase order, but he beat them in the Supreme Court because he was a private individual. It wasn't for the public good, it was just for Intel, and they're a private company, and the state couldn't take the land of one private company from one farmer who's private and give it to another. That was the thing there. Anyway, the company was told by Mr. Burke and officials that legislative changes and investment in resourcing Commission Planola should aid that matter. So they've changed the name of Board Planola to Commission Planola, and that's going to fix it all. That's going to fix it all. Can you? Mr. Tan called with the Taoiseach took place on April the 14th. That's 2025. Intel described as an introductory meeting in the Register of Lobbying Returns, which set out how the company bosses reaffirmed Intel's steadfast commitment to Ireland during the conversation. There's nothing wrong with lobbying by a big company like that. There's nothing really wrong with them telling the government what to do if they get the solution right. And the solution is to appoint Val Martin, that's me, as their agent, and I'll deal with it. I'll soon fix it. But the government won't listen anyway, and the people won't vote. And it's the same with Wellman International being shut down because of electricity costs. That's going to happen till we're all eaten out of the bin, right? So now, separate records show Minister for Public Expenditure Jack Chambers took a tour of Intel's Leixlip campus on the same day. So the Minister Jack Chambers took a tour. He went on a tour. He went on a tour. Would you believe me? The British soldiers and generals and intelligence agents caught by the Russians in Ukraine, they say, "Oh, we're just tourists. We're just tourists, tourists." So he went on a tour. That's going to fix it. Oh, he'd got a tour, huh? Intel highlighted a number of areas that have proved challenging when justifying further investment, a department note said, including the complexity and length of the planning process and the comparatively high cost of electricity. Now, I don't understand the planning process. Have they not enough buildings, or what do they want? I'd say that nobody would object to an Intel factory. They have to get the land, and that's the same for everybody. You just can't go up and build on somebody else's land. But anyway, I can deal with. I'm a bit of an expert in the planning process as well. But there's the reason why there's such messing. It's the councils and the Bord Pleanála that does the assessment, whereas it should be the state. They should have assessed all this from the beginning. But Charles, my father often said, "They'll be doing it right. They'll be doing it right." I'm here to celebrate doing it wrong and to warn of what's coming and dance and let the people put up with what's coming. They deserve what's coming. Right, so so the cost of electricity. Intel, which has lost market share in recent years, there's fierce competition, is undergoing a major restructuring internationally, and there have been reports that it plans to cut 20% of its global workforce because it's been beaten by places with low electricity costs. China was opening 52 power stations per week, 104 power stations up to recently, fired by coal. Okay, so now it lost its market share. Some 195 mandatory redundancies are expected at Intel's Irish operations this autumn. 195 people losing their jobs. Like, that is sad. I don't like to gloat at that, and it's not their fault. But who did they vote for? That's the thing. So now, the Irish Times understands these expected job losses are linked to Intel's overall restructuring internationally and not the issues around energy costs and planning raised. So is it or it isn't? So the Irish Times, it's nothing to do with energy at all. The high electricity, that doesn't matter at all. And Intel says, oh no, you have to fix the planning and the electricity. But Irish Times says, oh no, you put up your windmills up above of Donegal, millions of them around, plaster the whole place. That's what, you see the way the Irish Times tells a dirty lie, right? So now, the Irish Times understands these expected job losses are linked to Intel's overall restructuring internationally. Why do you think it's restructuring? Because it can't pay the electricity bills in Western Europe, full stop. And not the issues around energy costs and planning it raised with the government. I mean, talk about duplicity. Is it or is it not? Make up your bloody mind, Irish Times. An Intel statement welcomed the government commitment to publish a competitive action plan, which is baloney. There is no competitive action plan because they are making the electricity, it's going up in price around 4% per month. To sustain growth and remain competitiveness, it is crucial to prioritise competitiveness. Here, but they won't do it. And they won't do it. You're talking about 15 years before they get rid of the windmills and the solar panels. So, to sustain growth and maintain competitiveness, it is crucial to prioritise competitiveness. Streamline the planning process. Well, they're trying to do that, and they're trying to do it in breach of the law. And focus on developing long-term sustainable and competitive energy solutions. That is, get rid of your windmills and go back to coal, oil and gas and look at nuclear. Like it or lump it. And that's what's happening in America, and it's going to benefit America. We appreciate the meaningful steps the government has taken to address these challenges. That's happy talk. Happy talk, he said, the middleman said. The Department of Enterprise statement said, work on the competitiveness action plan has been accelerated and it will be published in the coming weeks. Ireland holds a strong global competitive position. That's a lie. An LIE told by the Department of Enterprise. A lie. They just lie. That's the only name for it. Ireland is not a strong competitive global. Its energy is too dear. Too expensive. And you're looking at blackouts this winter. They run it on diesel engines, the same as my tractor. Currently ranked 7th worldwide. Who ranked it? Who ranked it? We're in Europe. It's the same rules apply. Britain has gone to hell as well. So how come it's... Who is it ranked 7 to? It's not Norway. They burn oil and produce oil to beat the band. So I'd like to see that. It said, I mean, if it is the 7 most competitiveness, why is there a problem? Lies. That's why. It said, adding, we cannot afford complacency. You see, a big word, complacency. You'd think it was a thing you could put in a bag. We cannot afford complacency. Well, you're going to afford it, whether you like it or not. The people are going to be eating the butts of McDonald's burgers because they won't be able to buy the burger. We have no cars. They're taking away our cars gradually. No transport. That's the reality. It also said Silicon Island. The government semiconductor strategy. You have to call it Silicon Island. Is a clear signal of government support for a sector that is economically and strategically vital. Well then, if it is, you don't protect it. It may be economically and strategically vital, but you've destroyed it. The EU is discovering its military capabilities are economic and strategically vital, and they destroyed it. They allowed America to blow up its Nord Stream 2 pipeline, and they destroyed that. And they shut down the nuclear reactors in Germany. And it's a busted flush as well. The department said energy prices have reduced from their peak in 2023. They picked a particular time when there was just in the wake of COVID-19, when there was an extreme choke on moving stuff around the world, moving oil and gas. They pick 1 week and they say it has reduced. They never talk that electricity has been going up all the time. It was 14.6 in 2014 for a unit, and they're paying up to 70 cents in Dublin in flats. So this is the misinformation and the lie the department is telling. But they remain too high. They remain too high. You see the way they gloss it up. And people swallow this. And it set out measures being taken to address it. Yeah, build more windmills, more solar panels, give everything to big companies, let the world big companies all grab a lump of our electricity and everything, even though they're going to make no profit, give all away, throw everything on the electricity bill and pay a bit out of our taxes to bail them out. Isn't that the reality? Now, isn't that it? So Silicon Island they're calling Ireland. The department said energy price. No, so I've read that. A national energy affordability task force has been established. Huh? So you set up a task force, you rename Burplanola, and this is going to mean that we don't have to pay for the wind and the solar energy, which does nothing. You still need the same amount of conventional fossil fuel generation, except now, instead of having a big heavy plant that is extremely efficient, they have diesel engines and banks of them, so that Mad Eamon Ray in Cabbagehead had bought 11 million in diesel engines and he couldn't even get them over the Whistling Bridge. To identify and assess, implement measures that will enhance energy affordability for household and business. So that's a lie. They are going to drive the price to my prediction of $2.49 per unit. And I made that video a while back. I assessed it. They'll ignore the whole lot. They'll give themselves big pay raises, and the people see where the electricity prices are going. Do you see the massive lies that are being told? The statement said the government has prioritised implementation of the Planning and Development Act. What's that going to do about it? What they're really saying this is, we get it straightened out, we'll have more windmills and solar panels. And they're what's driving up the price. They're a passenger on the system, and they're going to, instead of having to pay for 7,000 megawatts of conventional generation, ordinary coal, oil and gas, we're going to have to pay for 15,000, and then they'll go on and it'll be 20,000. So if you divide 7 into 20, it's 3 times. You're going to have to pay 3 times the cost of electricity, plus you're going to have to pay for all of the cabling to have it in. And when it's all done on a calm day and a dark night, you still need the full force of the fossil fuel plant. And they won't admit that, but Real True Education is telling it here clearly. So the Development Act, will bring greater consistency, clarity, and certainty to the planning system. Huh? I mean, if you told that to a NAS, he would kick you. Now, just see briefly on the ESBs.ie, that's the Irish Electricity Service. So they're talking about supporting Ireland's energy transition to a net zero future. They have the cheek to tell you this, a net zero future. Huh? We are investing in infrastructure to maintain reliable and secure electricity supplies to facilitate high levels of renewable generation. So what are you going to do on a calm day? What are you going to do when there's no sun? And what are you going to do when the fact is you still need 36% of your grid fossil fuel? No mention of that. But they'll give him the pay rise, and there's plenty of staff at ESP knows this is a scam, but they told me, but they can't get into making the statements in the press and developing smarter, more resilient networks to accommodate electrification and transport. So there you are. Now here's just a little piece from Gov UK, that's the United Kingdom government. Powering electricity, Britain's future. Bills to be slashed. So here's the 22nd of June 2025. More than 7,000 British businesses are set to see their electricity bills slashed by up to 25% from 2027. Is that not live horse and you get grass? This has been promised. Eamon Ryan said it 10 to 15 years ago. Wind energy will bring down the cost of electricity. Yet in Ireland and the United Kingdom, the cost of renewable energy is linked to the highest fossil fuel price and has to be. And if it's not, they'll go bust. And they're going bust anyway. So not only is my claim that you have to have the fossil fuel, but not only that, the windmills can't do without the fossil fuel because the price is linked to the highest fossil fuel in the market. So doesn't that show you the lies the British government is telling you? I'll read that again. More than 7,000 British businesses are set to see their electricity bills slashed by up to 25% by 2027, 2 years away, as the government unveils a bold new industrial strategy. So the way they're going to do it is electricity costs for thousands of businesses will be slashed by a quarter. How? And they're trying to build more and more renewables. How are they going to slash it? 2 years. So in other words, wait 2 years. And when the 2 years is up, we never said that at all. Who told you that? The next thing is new industrial strategy to unlock billions in investment. In other words, invest. It's not to keep the existing businesses going or make them more efficient. It's to give more money in and keep them going with artificial money and invest in the very renewable energy that's destroying them. The new industrial strategy to unlock billions, throw it around like it's confetti, in investment and support 1.1 million new self-paid jobs over the next decade. And this is a government that had to take away the 300 a year winter fuel allowance, try to cut several services for the people, and is trying to put billions into defence, into the military. And it's going to fix all the things it has started. It is going to fix it by more of the same. The strategy development in partnership with business. What businesses? The wind energy business, not the chemical production, not the steel mills, not the foundries. No. The windmill crowd and the solar crowd with their cheap Chinese junk solar panels. The strategy developed in partnership with business may mark a new era of collaboration between government and high growth industries. What are the high growth industries? Those that are sanctioned and supported by the taxpayer and the bill payer, given the highest energy prices in the world for electricity. They wouldn't allow opening North Sea oil fields. And they think they're going to get on without it. Strategy will make UK the best country to invest in and grow a business, delivering a plan for change. Why do you need to change? The plan that they had worked for 200 or 300 years from the Industrial Revolution. Britain at one time, about the World War II, was a major manufacturer. and they've took it all away. Oh, we're going to have a better way of doing it. How? How are they going to have a better way? The same as in Ireland, they're deluded. They're deluded, but they're also liars. So there you are, folks. There's going to be here's another wee bit from it here. British manufacturers currently pay some of the highest electricity prices in the developed world. And so the government that did this is going to fix it. While businesses looking to expand and modernise have faced delays when it comes to connecting to the grid, what are the businesses? It's wind farms and solar. There never was any problem getting connected to the grid up till recent years, till they let in all these half-wits into the grid and running it. Is that enough, folks, on 25 minutes? Do you see the way it's going? They're lying to you to beat the band. It's not a question of whether they're lying. It's a question of how long will it take the Irish and the British people that are voting. They went out at 33% and voted Labour. And when you take Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael in Ireland, 47% voted for them. So can we etch away at that? Can we pull it down and force the independents to come out and they'll support the government? And can we chop them as well? That's the way we have to do it. Okay, we'll see you back, folks. Thank you. Bye-bye.